What's up, guys? Part-Time Gamer Dad here. This week is the Game Awards 2024 as presented by Jeff Keighley, and the final round for voting is open, so I'm going to place my votes. These are my personal opinions, so some of these categories I know nothing about, I'll be honest with you now, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on who I think probably will win in those cases. I thought about doing kind of like a general who I think would win, like predicting the winners. I think Wood, Beat 'em Ups did that, so respect what he's done. Go watch that video if you haven't. I love Wood, one of the GOATs. I'm going to tell you my picks, and we'll see if you agree. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with these picks. And let's get into the Game Awards 2024 Round 3 voting. So I'm sure a lot of you are here to know my thoughts on the best game of the year, what I'm going to pick for it, but I'm going to keep that until the end. Let's go through all these other categories. I kind of want to build up to what I pick for Game of the Year. So we're going to start at the end of the list, and we're going to start with Best Esports Team. Again, this is one of those things where I'm going off of who I know versus like who might be best. I know Team Liquid. I don't really know Bilibili, Gingy, Navi, or T1. And I know League, I know Counter-Strike, and I know Dota. But when I think about a team that would represent what I know about esports, I'm going to have to go with Team Liquid, and the fact that they seem to always consistently perform well. And this is based on how they did in 2024, and I'm going to say that they continue to do really well. Going right off of that, it's the best esports athlete. I don't know any of these guys. To be very honest with you. 33, Alexi, Chovy, Faker, Ziwu, and Zim JJKK. I don't know if I said any of those correctly, but based upon like just the I guess the fit, you know, like what they're wearing, the general vibes they give off, I'm going to go with Chovy. Like, if you look at him, he's the only one wearing a headset, so he's in the game. Like, he's so inundated in the game, he can't even get out of it to take a picture. Everybody else feels like either a pose, like you caught him in the mid gaming session. So I got a lot of respect for him, and he's given a thumbs up. Everybody else either has like this pose going on, or you know, they're presenting like, oh, I've got an award, I'm number one. Chovy's just there for a good time, man. He's just giving that thumbs up. So I'm gonna go for Chovy. Best esports game. I think this is his last esports category. So we have Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, and Valorant. I played Counter-Strike 2, I've played Dota 2, played League a ton back in the day. My brother's a really good League player. I've heard a lot about Valorant. I think based upon the fact I'm a Valve fanboy, I love Valve, but I respect what Valorant has done, and the people that really enjoy it. I respect them a lot, and so I'm leaning towards Valorant, but I also got to make this based upon my experience. So best esports game is the game that's delivered the best overall esports experience to players. I mean, at the end of the day, if you think about what I voted for the team, it was based on Dota 2. So I'm going to say Dota 2. Again, esports is not something I keep up with very much, but I'm going to vote Dota 2 on this one. All right, so next up, Content Creator of the Year. So we have Queso, we have Ilawan, Techo Gamers, Typical Gamer, and Usada Pecora. Honestly, it's Queso. Like, I think of all of these, Queso is the most recognizable. He is the one who, when you're feeling like kind of down, like you just want a good laugh, or you just want to see something that is just engaging and entertaining, Queso is a fun content creator to go to. So this one, to me, he's one of the only ones I know of this list too, but I think even if you look at the grand scope of like content creation, Queso's so big now, it has to be him. All right, next up, now we're getting to some gaming categories, like focused on video games. Most anticipated game. We have Death Stranding 2 on the beach, Ghost of, I think it was Yote, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds. Again, this is for me. I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan. I appreciate Monster Hunter. I've played a couple Monster Hunters, especially back in the day on the Wii. I just don't really like Death Stranding as much. And I've tried playing it several times. It's okay. It's a walking sim. It's a mail delivery sim. I love Kojima, but for me, that game it missed the mark. So we're kind of between Ghost, GTA, and Metroid Prime. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima for me was one of the best games when it came out that I maybe had ever played. I don't know if I'm hyped up and anticipating that game as much as I am games that have had so much time between the last time a game was released for that series, a la a Metroid Prime 4, which we've been waiting for forever, or a GTA 6, which has had 11 years now. It'll be 12 years by the time this game comes out since the last one dropped. So thinking through these two, I love Metroid Prime. I love GTA. I think I've got to give it to GTA 4. It's not that Metroid Prime, I'm sorry, GTA 6. Not that Metroid Prime 4 is a game I'm not looking forward to. It's the one I'm probably looking forward to the second most behind GTA 6 of these options. There's other games I'm actually looking forward to more overall. But if we're looking at the games in front of me, I'm going to say GTA 6. I think the things that Rockstar is able to do and produce and how long they've been working on this game, it's very exciting. It's very intriguing. And I think the general consensus from the group is going to be GTA 6 is the most anticipated game for next year. Next up is Best Adaptation. We have Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, Yakuza, and Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft. I've heard good things about Tomb Raider. I haven't really heard anything about Like a Dragon, and I know the series slightly, but I didn't watch it. Arcane, I've heard fantastic things about. Knuckles, not so great, but it's got to be Fallout. Fallout was an amazing series, in a lot of ways very faithful to the games, and also just kind of created its own identity a little bit. But you think about what caused an impact most significantly in the world of gaming, and it's got to be Fallout. You look at the sales figures of games like Fallout 4, post the series of Fallout coming out, and it drove it back up insanely. So, and from an entertainment perspective, I would also have to say Fallout. So that one gets my vote. Next up is Best Multiplayer Game. Now, I don't play a whole lot of multiplayer games. I'm a very single player focused guy. So I'm going to look at these from the perspective of what has had the most, I guess, positive impact in terms of like forward progression in their space, in their game type, like the genre, or just in terms of like what got the community talking in a positive way. Now, to begin with, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, pretty new game. I don't think, while Black Ops 6 is, I'm sure, fine, you don't hear it being like a trendsetter, like a Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2 even. So I don't think I can say Black Ops 6 is going to change the game in terms of best multiplayer game. Then you have Helldivers 2. Incredible impact. Even if you take away some of the controversy later after Helldivers 2 was released, and then with PlayStation and Steam users having to utilize a PlayStation login, all those kinds of things, still an incredible impact, and really for a couple months there was the talk of the gaming community. Super Mario Party Jamboree is a really fun game. It's probably the best party game to come out in at least a decade, if not more. But from a multiplayer perspective, is that a fun multiplayer game, or is it a fun party game or a fun Nintendo game? I think I still give Helldivers 2 the edge there. And then Tekken 8 and Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I really want to play Space Marine 2. It looks amazing. I love Warhammer games from back in the day. Tekken 8, everything I've heard is crickets on Tekken 8. I mean, it's the 8th Tekken. Like, what can you improve beyond that except polishing foundational mechanics that you've already created? Doesn't take anything away from the game, but is it changing the scope of a multiplayer experience? Probably not. So it's between Helldivers 2 and Space Marine 2. And when I think about like the narrative of what has been in the scope of the gaming sphere and really like talked about a lot positively, Helldivers 2 has just had a lot more noise around it than Space Marine 2. Although Space Marine 2 was one of those games that I really do want to play eventually. This time, though, I'm going to give my vote to Helldivers 2. Next up, Best Sport/Racing. So we have F1 24, we have EA Sports, Football Club 25, NBA 2K25, Top Spin 2K25, and WWE 2K24. The fact that NCAA college football did not get to be part of this, it blows my mind. Blows my mind after such a long time of not being in like the gaming current atmosphere, it being like, what, 10 years at least since the last one. Crazy. And it made such an impact. Like, it's huge. I don't buy many sports games, and I bought it. But I'm looking at these. NBA is NBA. Football Club is what it is. F1, Top Spin. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, the game I'm going to play is WWE 2K24. If you've seen any of my wrestling videos, you know I love professional wrestling. It's predominantly, like, arguably, I'm more of a wrestling channel than I am a gaming channel. And honestly, from a perspective of like a game that's really good and has continued to pull 2K out of the unfortunate position it put itself in with WWE 2K20. 2K22 was a good return to form. 2K23 built upon that. 2K24 built upon that. Does it have issues? Sure. It's absolutely a mess at times, but it's really fun and it balances arcade and simulation really well. So all day, every day, it probably didn't matter what sports or racing games you had on here. I was going to pick 2K24 for WWE. Next up, best sim/strategy game. Guys, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't recognize any of these. I mean, I recognize Age of Mythology. And I've, as I look at these, I've heard of these games, but I can't tell you what looks good. I'm not a big sim strat guy. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to go based upon what I think looks the most interesting based on the artwork. So we have Age of Mythology Retold, Frostpunk 2, Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, Manor Lords, and Unicorn Overlord. Right off the bat, Kunitsugami and Unicorn Overlord, Age of Mythology. Too much going on. Too much going on in the artwork there. So we're gonna get down to Frostpunk 2 and Manor Lords. They both sound cool too. I'm looking at Manor Lords, and it does look a little bit Witcher-ish, and I know I've played that game. So I'm going to go Frostpunk 2 strictly based on the fact that it looks cool. All right, so next up, best family game. This one's going to be tricky. Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and then Plucky Squire. And guys, I've played all of these, and Wood on beat 'em ups brought up a good point. Like, are we talking about the best game from the lineup? Or are we talking about the best like game to play with family? Because if you're talking about best game to play with family, I mean, it's Super Mario Party Jamboree, because all these other games are single player games. Like, you can't play these other games multiplayer, not even locally. So I feel like based on that, it's Super Mario Party Jamboree. The thing I want to point out is the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. If we're talking best game out of this bunch, the two that stand out are Astrobot and Echoes of Wisdom. And honestly, Astrobot defeats Echoes of Wisdom. Because if you're going to go in order of what the best games are, it's Astrobot, Echoes of Wisdom, probably Jamboree, Plucky Squire, and then Princess Peach Showtime. I'm going to stick with the spirit of this genre or this question. What is the best game appropriate for family play? Guys, it's Jamboree, and it hurts to say that because Astrobot's such an incredible game, but based on the category itself, Jamboree is the only option to choose. Next up, we got best fighting game, and the options are Dragon Ball, Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics, Multiversus, and Tekken 8. I gotta be real with you. The only one I can even say I've played is Multiversus. MVC is great and it's fun. I mean, I've played a lot of those, like the old arcade versions of MVC games. I've never played a Grand Blue game. Dragon Ball games are fun, but I feel like you played one, you played them all. Typically, there's some, before everybody gets in the comments and gets all heated, yes, there are some differences between some of the games like Budokai and stuff like that. But overall, and I've just never been a Tekken guy. Well, that's not true. Old school Tekken, sure. Just the newer Tekkens, I'm not well versed on. So based on that, I'm going to go with Multiversus. But let me know if there's any fighting games that I should play. It is a genre I like. It's just I'm playing a lot of single player action adventure horror games right now, so I don't have a whole lot of time and a whole lot of funds till I go look at fighting games. So if Tekken 8 is like the best Tekken game ever, let me know. I might check it out. Best RPG, and guys, this is where I start struggling because do we really? I get it. I understand. I get it. That Shadow of Erdtree, it'd be like if somebody released a full-blown RPG, right? It's a DLC, so I get that. But like, do you want to compare it to something else that's like a fully fleshed out, like singular game like a Dragon's Dogma 2 or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth or Metaphor ReFantazio? And so here's the thing that I have to consider. I have to consider what are the nominees for Game of the Year. This is something I have to think about. I think the final five are... What are the final five that came up? Is it Astrobot, Black Myth, Wukong, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, Rebirth, and is it Metaphor? So here's where it's going to get tricky. With these games, if they're not in best game or game of the year, can I honestly like vote for it? And it's really, for me, it's got to be between Elden Ring and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I feel passionately that a DLC should not have been put up for Game of the Year. It should have been put up for DLC of the Year. And I also understand the argument that like the DLC they created is better than most like just singular games. I get it. I'm not discrediting it, but it's based on, it's built on the foundation of a game already. You could make the argument Tears of the Kingdom was the same for Breath of the Wild. But I feel like it's not going to be Like a Dragon. It's not going to be Metaphor. It's not going to be Dragon's Dogma 2. So do I pick Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Elden Ring? In terms of like what the playstyle is, I'm going to give, from an RPG perspective, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, my vote. It's not something I'm happy about, but I am at least honest enough with myself to recognize that Shadow of Erdtree is an incredible feat from a DLC perspective. You could almost kind of view it as a sequel. Like it operates as a sequel to Elden Ring. So I will give FromSoft their flowers on that. Don't expect me to vote it for Game of the Year, but I guess we'll see when we get there. We're about halfway through the list, so let's keep going. All right, best action adventure. This is like this is one of my categories. Okay, Astrobot. Astrobot's one of those games, guys. Okay, listen. Okay, hold on. But listen, Astrobot's one of those games where you don't want to stop playing it. You just don't. You don't want to stop playing Astrobot because it's so fun. And is it like simple? Yeah, but that's not a bad thing. Like, I think we get all caught up in like how intricate and complex a game could be, and that dictates its worth and how good it is. Like, no, that is not the end all be all. Elden Ring, a lot of the reason it got so much like praise and acclaim was because of the complexity and the difficulty of the game. But also there's a lot of elements of it that are fleshed out, and it's just a living, thriving world. But that doesn't mean that Astrobot can't be in the same conversation as being on that same level, just a different genre and a different kind of entertainment and enjoyment. Love Echoes of Wisdom. I love Legend of Zelda games. Sorry, you're not the best of this group. Star Wars Outlaws, I haven't played. I'm kind of burnt out on Star Wars games, to be honest with you, after Jedi Survivor, and even like with all the issues I had with it on Steam Deck and all that. So I'm going to have to say no. And Prince of Persia Lost Crown was a great game, but I don't think it's to the same level as a Silent Hill 2 or Astrobot. Now, Silent Hill 2, the OG Silent Hill 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Silent Hill is one of my favorite series of all time. I'm playing through Silent Hill 2 now, and it's fun, but I don't know. It didn't create the same level of wonder and excitement and fun in me as Astrobot. And partly because it's a remake, and I think honestly as a remake, it's really, really well done. It might be better than the original. We'll find out. But overall, like, I don't think I'm ever going to reach the same heights of fun in Silent Hill 2 as I have with Astrobot. So I'm going to give Astrobot my vote for best action adventure game. All right. So Best action game. And this is kind of where, like, if you're going to have a best action game and a best action adventure, just call it a best adventure game and a best, like, action game. That's just a personal squabble. But the options are Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Space Marine 2. Immediately, I'm going to tell you right now, Black Ops 6 is out. Personally, it's out. I don't think it belongs with the rest of these. Probably Helldivers 2 and Stellar Blade is out as well. So for me, it's between Space Marine 2 and Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong, I have not played. I've watched a lot of gameplay on it, a lot, and I've researched a lot. I have dove so far into like the Black Myth Wukong like lore like whole. It's insane. It is a game I want to play really bad, and I'm trying to explore if I want to get it on PS5 or on Steam, because it comes out on PS5 this week at some point. I want to say like Thursday. So I have a love for Black Myth Wukong, even though I haven't played it yet. But it is one of those games that I've asked for Christmas. We'll see if I get it from my wife. We don't do gifts in my family. We don't, like, me and my wife and my kids, we don't do like gifts. We do stocking stuffers. We do gifts for the kids, but like for me and my wife, it's stocking stuffers. And video games fit nicely into your stocking. My wife yesterday, right in front of me, bought Deathloop on PS5 for like $10. Put it in my stocking. So I'm excited. I know I got a game coming. But I'm going to have to give it to Black Myth Wukong. Like, it is such a fun looking game. I know it's going to play super well because I've seen how it plays. And it's a blast to control. I'm excited for it. And yes, I know it's similar in, maybe this is where I start getting a little bit like contradictory to a degree, but it is similar to, Elden Ring in the way that plays to a degree. And I recognize that. It's kind of like if you took like Elden Ring and Ghost of Tsushima and put them together in Baby, and then like got a little bit of like acrobatics to it, a little bit of Batman, Arkham. I get it, but it's pretty sweet. So I'm excited to play that. Let me know in the comments below. Should I play it on PS5? Should I play it on Steam? I'm going on a cruise in a couple of months. First ever time. I want to take some games with me to play. I don't think I'll be able to like get my Portal to like really connect effectively to my PS5 at home. So like, should I get it on Steam and just play it on Steam? Also, I guess we'll see what happens with my wife if she like buys it for me for Christmas on the PS5. I guess I'll just be playing on PS5. But let me know in the comments below how I should pick it up. Best VR/AR game. Arizona Sunshine Remake, Asgard's Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metal, Hellsinger VR, and Metro Awakening. I've heard decent things about Metro Awakening, but all the stuff I've heard about Batman Arkham Shadow on Meta Quest it's a great Arkham game. Some people put it like in the top 3 Arkham games ever, which is crazy to me, but I haven't actually played any of these games. I'm not a big VR fan. I feel like we still have a long way to go. If you saw my most recent like ranking of PlayStation consoles hardware over time, yes, I said that PSVR 2 was not that great. I had a bad experience. I got it at launch and it just did not work very well. I know there's been a lot of updates since then. My friend brought over his MetaQuest. I used it. We played with it on my daughter's birthday and it was fun. I'm just not sure if I'll ever be a VR guy, but if I ever am, I'll probably get MetaQuest and try Arkham Shadow just because I've heard a lot of great stuff about it. So that one gets my vote. Best mobile game. I don't play any of these games mobile. Like when I go to the bathroom, I'm not playing these games. I'm playing Cup Heroes. I'm playing Clash Royale. I'm playing that, like the OG stuff. I'm not playing these, but the options are AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon, TCG Pocket, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. So listen, I'm just gonna be real with you. It's gonna be Balatro, and the reason is because I don't know if it's up for Game of the Year anymore, but it was like in the top 6. So based on the fact that like it was up for Game of the Year, I'm just out of respect gonna give it to Balatro, and we're gonna move on. Next up, we have Best Debut Indie Game. This is for the best debut game created by a new independent studio. It's pretty fun. Animal Well, I've heard some things about it. Interested to see what it's all about. Balatro, of course, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and Plucky Squire. And so of these games, I've played one, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's Plucky Squire. So I'm going to give Plucky Squire, give it a little love. It's a game. It's one of those games that like they announced last year, and I was really excited to play it. And so It was a lot of fun. Could it have been better? Yes, there could have been more they did with it. I'll do a review on it in the new year when I start doing some proper game reviews after Christmas. But of all of those games, this is the only one I played. But even if I had played these other ones, Plucky Squire just has such a charm about it. And it's really sweet. It's fun being inside of like a storybook and then coming out into the real world and interacting with all of the different toys and the environment to like save the story itself and rewrite the story so that it ends happily instead of like letting Hump Grump, the villain, take control of the story and make it all about him and making him the hero so that it doesn't impact this kid negatively. It's a crazy story. If you haven't played Plucky Squire, I think it's free on PlayStation. If you got PlayStation Plus, go grab it, go download it. It's about 8 hours of time. It's not crazy lift, but of all the best debut indie games, and that blows my mind. That was their debut game. Such a great feat by All Possible Futures from Devolver. So go check out Plucky Squire. We've got another situation, a best independent game where I haven't played any of the games. Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. They all look great. They all look very interesting. I'm just going to go with Balatro. It's the one that was up for Game of the Year, so I feel like it is probably the most deserving of it based on that. So we'll go with, again, Balatro and move on. Also, am I saying that right? Balatro? Like, let me know in the comments. Am I saying it wrong or am I saying it right? Best community support. So this is recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. Right away, we're going to disqualify Helldivers 2 because of the you-know-what show that occurred with Helldivers 2. Also, Final Fantasy 14, I just don't think that, like, yeah, the community support's fine, but I think overall, it's not to the same level as, like, Baldur's Gate 3, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. Baldur's Gate 3, obviously, like, the game of the year last year, well-deserved, and they've continued to support the community, but, like, nothing touches No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky and the community support has received year after year after year to the point now where I think its reviews on Steam are like very positive for the first time, and it's been 10 years since the game originally dropped. That's crazy. That's unheard of. So it's got to be No Man's Sky. Fortnite's released some new seasons and they've done some updates. It's been great, but I don't think anything in the last decade comes close to the community support from Hello Games for No Man's Sky. And I think you could put any game on here in terms of community support. No Man's Sky is going to take it 10 times out of 10. Now we have Best Ongoing Game. So it's awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Destiny 2, I feel like it has not been incredibly well received as of late. So I'm going to have to say Destiny 2 is a no. Diablo 4, I could see it being in the running, not Final Fantasy 14. Helldivers 2, I mean, Best Ongoing, like, it just came out within this last year. So, like, I don't know if you can consider that, like, a Best Ongoing game. I'm looking at these other games as games that, when did Diablo 4 come out? Diablo 4, I feel like it's been out a while, yeah? Like, at least 2 years, maybe longer. Oh, it came out last year. It's been out a year and a half. Okay, so Diablo 4 obviously qualifies as well. So Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Helldivers, I'm going to take out. So it's between Diablo 4 and Fortnite. I feel like the positive feedback I hear, and kind of going back to the No Man's Sky situation, Fortnite's been out longer than Diablo 4, and the positive feedback and reception for Fortnite's updates have been more celebrated. So I'm going to give it to Fortnite here for Best Ongoing. And not even just because of the updates, but because like it continues to be played to such a high level, whereas Diablo 4, while still played by a lot of people, it's not the same consistency and longevity as like Fortnite. Maybe in a couple years, if Diablo 4 is still going, we could reevaluate that, but right now it's Fortnite. Next up, we have Games for Impact. This is for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. So we have Closer the Distance, Indica, Neva, Life is Strange, Double Exposure, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, and Tales of Kenzera Zao. I've played one of these games, and that was Indica. If you watch my video on Indica, you know I have kind of this weird like relationship with Indica. It's not a bad game. Game. It's just a game, and I actually really didn't think that the messaging of it was terribly strong. So I don't know if I can give it the vote, even though it's the only game I've played here. From Closer the Distance, that one looks interesting. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to read up on the messages behind these real quick, and then I'm going to catch you after the fact. Let's talk about what the messaging behind it is and see if there's one that I really connect with. Okay, well, I'm a little sad now, but I'm going to go with Closer the Distance. It deals a lot with grief in the face of tragedy with family. And this year, my family went through some stuff with loss and whatnot. So I can really connect with that. And I think it's a game I'm going to have to check out. It's by Skybound, love Skybound. So Closer the Distance gets my vote. But I really want to say any game that has the wherewithal to present a thought-provoking idea and message and meaning, kudos to you. These developers that just pump out the same game year after year after year, we thank you for consistency, but to have some kind of different voice and tone within the gaming space is really needed. So to all of these nominees, thank you for what you do. Thank you for making gaming an art medium. Really, at the end of the day, it's part of the reason that we all love gaming so much. And Closer the Distance gets my vote for, I think, probably the story that's strongest, even though I haven't played it. The way they did it, from what I can see and what I can research, Closer the Distance seems like did it best, at least for what I can emotionally connect to and with right now. So next up, innovation in accessibility. So this is recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. We got Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Dragon Age of the Veilguard, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws. I am fortunate to be somebody who doesn't necessarily need accessibility settings, and I really appreciate that games are taking the steps to create new ways for games to be even more accessible to that wider audience and make it something that can be enjoyed by everybody. In doing my research on this section, because again, I'm not somebody who necessarily needs these implementations, it really seems like Diablo 4 is the one that makes the most sense. They seem to have a really dedicated vision on how to make Diablo 4 accessible, even from an auditory perspective, which is really, really cool, utilizing audio cues in the overworld. So I'm going to give this one to Diablo 4. But again, just like I said in the last section, for anybody who creates accessibility settings and implementations for your games, thank you. Gaming should be for everybody. So continue to be creative, continue to create new accessibility options, to iterate ideas, continue to make gaming accessible for everybody, because the more people can enjoy it, the more that we can enjoy this art medium that we all love so dearly, and the more people have access to it, I think the better it is for the overall community and society as a whole. All right, so best performance. This is kind of one of those, I don't know. It's interesting because last year was super duper easy with Baldur's Gate 3. I think, I've only played really Silent Hill 2. So just and this looks weird because he's the only guy, but I haven't played Star Wars Outlaws, and I don't know if I will, just because, like I said, I'm burnt out on Star Wars games. Life is Strange Double Exposure, I've heard it's amazing. I haven't played it myself. Senua's Saga, I could see there's some with the first Senua's Saga with Hellblade. I can absolutely see how that could be a relevant best performance nominee and how that could even win. Brianna White in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, same thing. I've played a little bit of it, but I've played Silent Hill 2 the most, and I think that's the one that makes the most sense to me, is to go with what I've experienced. So I'm going to give it to Luke Roberts, but obviously all these performances are worthy of being nominated, as evidenced by the fact that they are nominated, and kind of shows how it really, gaming nowadays really does rely on the ability for actors to come in and produce great voice acting and mocap and all these elements. So kudos and shout outs. I have a theater degree, musical theater degree from college. So I have a really unique respect for actors and voice actors. So thank you to all the performers and honestly all the people who work on video games. But for this one, performers of video games, we appreciate what you do. Best audio design is recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. So like I said, I haven't played Hellblade 2, so that's out. I'm going to take Black Ops 6 out. So it's between Astrobot, Final Fantasy 7, and Silent Hill 2. Once again, I'm going to count out Final Fantasy 7. It's really between Astrobot and Silent Hill 2. Astrobot is like an overstimulation of your auditory senses for sure. Like all your senses. I can understand that. Silent Hill 2 is more ambient and it's a little bit more atmospheric. I think I might give this one to Silent Hill 2 just because like you think about the sound elements of like enemies that you fight, or the fact that like things are so silent so often within the game, to be able to like use that as a element of the game that drives the heart, drives the anxiety, I think is notable. So best audio design, I'm going to give it to Silent Hill 2. Next up, best music and score, different than best audio design, because like I said earlier, audio design is really about atmosphere and really about like the ambiance of like the environment around you through that sound. So I actually will take Silent Hill 2 out of this. I haven't played Metaphor, ReFantazio, or Stellar Blaze, so I can't give either one of those. It's really between Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII. And guys, for me, it's going to be Astrobot. I mean, that's part of the charm, right? Part of the charm is the score and the music. For both, like, for Astrobot and also Astro's Playroom, the score and the music was a blast. So I'm going to give Astrobot the vote on this one. Best art direction, outstanding creative and or technical achievement, artistic design, and animation. Okay, I'm gonna take out. I'm gonna be real quick with this one because this video is already almost like 45 minutes according to my timer there. So we got Neva is out. Metaphor ReFantazio. I can understand like the art direction of that is probably amazing. I haven't played it. I'll go with the three that I can talk to. Astrobot, I love. Obviously, I've voted for several categories. I don't think you can deny that Black Myth Wukong and Shadow of Erdtree are probably better from an art direction perspective. So I'm going to take Astrobot out. And it's really between Elden Ring, Shadow of Erdtree, and Black Myth Wukong. I'm going to give it to Black Myth Wukong because Shadow of Erdtree is building on top of something. Whereas Black Myth Wukong is its own thing from Game Science. So I'm going to give it to Black Myth Wukong. I think they did a great job from an art direction perspective. Clearly, like, there's so many elements of Black Myth Wukong that works really well, which is why it's up for Game of the Year, as we'll see here in a moment. But from an art direction perspective, great job. So we'll give Black Myth Wukong the vote. All right, y'all. We're in the final three. We're in the home stretch. Stick with me. Best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. We got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. I'm just going to tell you straight up, it's Silent Hill 2. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, solid. Like a Dragon, haven't played. Also haven't heard a whole lot of great things about the story. Like, the game's fine, but the story of it hasn't, like, stood out. Metaphor, I haven't heard a whole lot about, especially from a story perspective. Hellblade 2, I think probably would be the other one I would consider, even though I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of stuff on it. So from a narrative perspective, that's probably solid. But again, these are the things that I have enjoyed and have played, and I can't play every single game on it, especially that's all these different categories. So for me, best narrative, one of my favorite games of all time. The story of it is really being honored in the remake. It's Silent Hill 2. Let's keep it moving. Best game direction. Okay, here we go. We're getting there. This is the next to last one. So this is awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. I'm immediately going to take out 4. I'll tell you why. Balatro, whatever, can go. I don't think it's even nominated for Game of the Year. We'll find out here in a minute. But I think they got it down to 5. So we'll take that out. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, innovation-wise, they built a whole nother game. Innovation in terms of some designs, sure. But it's not innovative in like game direction because it's very similar to the base game of Elden Ring. So kick it out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it kind of has the same exact situation, right? From like the first Final Fantasy VII remake. So take that one out. And Metaphor ReFantazio, and I could be underselling you, dude. You might be an incredible game. I just haven't played you, so sorry, I can't speak to that. I'm not a big Atlas fan. They're beautiful games, I won't deny, but it's just not games I typically play. It's not my genre or style. And again, there's so many games I want to play. It just isn't something I typically pick up. So we get down to Astrobot and Black Myth Wukong, and I would love to give it to Astrobot, but like, come on, guys, let's be real. Game direction wise, it suffers the same thing that like Shadow of Erdtree did. Like, Astrobot is a more fleshed out version of Playroom. That's what it is. It's a more fleshed out version of Playroom, but it's still the same game at the end of the day. I gotta give it to Black Myth Wukong. Something new, something fresh, something exciting, and again, a game I'm excited to finally get my hands on. But even just seeing the things that it's done, it's incredible. So Black Myth Wukong for best game direction. So I was wrong. Game of the year is still all 6. Why did I think that they got it down to 5? There was like something about the rounds of voting. Whatever. Final round, game of the year, final category. If this was a prediction video, I would say Shadow of the Erdtree is going to win. But it's my convictions. It's the games I've played. It's the games that I like. And it's the games that I want to win. It's the games that I think should win. Balatro, you're out. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you out. Metaphor ReFantazio, thanks for showing up, you're out. We got it down between Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. I'm not going to sit here and say Shadow of the Erdtree doesn't deserve to be in the conversation from a gaming experience. I just don't know if I could say a DLC was the game of the year. If I'm going based off of like, so this says it's the game of the year is recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. I feel like, again, Astrobot, I love you, you're out. Based on those requirements, it really does come down to Black Myth Wukong and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. And I'm going to say it's Black Myth Wukong because at the end of the day, from creative and technical elements, like, yeah, Shadow of the Erdtree, absolutely great technological achievement, but Black Myth Wukong is also incredible in its own right and maybe even more creative and innovative. But also think about this. This game showed up out of nowhere and almost immediately sold like 10 million copies. Like, Shadow of the Erdtree sold crazy amounts as well. But it had the benefit of being like a successor to a well-established previous Game of the Year winner. I'm going to pick Black Myth Wukong, knowing that the general populace will probably pick Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. So I know this is not the popular pick, but I think, honestly, it's the right pick, at least for me. And I think it's the game that makes the most sense to pick for Game of the Year. We also have Player's Voice, which is which of these is your favorite Game of the Year? Player's Voice is 100% fan voted award across 3 rounds. I'm not really sure what the difference is, except that it's probably just, it's voted across rounds. And I think this is where I was confusing, like, 5 options versus 6, and I'm thinking that some games have been taken out of Game of the Year. This is a little confusing, but I am still going to go Black Myth Wukong because at the end of the day, I think you're the best game of the year. So Black Myth Wukong, I got you, baby. All right, guys, those are all my votes for the Game Awards 2024. Make sure you let me know down in the comments below who you voted for Game of the Year. Should I get Black Myth Wukong on PS5 or on Steam? And make sure you like the video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And I will see you very soon.